into Starting Five here on the Five Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. Producer today is Manny Chang. We thank him for getting up and doing this. Our sponsors are All Pro Construction Builders and Prize Picks. Want to mention All Pro Construction Builders first. You can find them at allproconstructionbuilders.com or All Pro Construction Builders on Instagram. The storm windows, the storm doors, it is always hurricane season in South Florida. Make sure that you get them. Make sure that you protect your house. If you mention Five Reasons to Danny and his team, you will get 10% off your entire order. We also know that it's really difficult to find a house these days, right? So why not renovate your own if you have one? You can do that also with All Pro Construction Builders. They'll handle your personal property, also your commercial property as well. They're based in Miami, but they service Broward County and Monroe counties as well. Danny's a huge Miami Heat fan, as is his entire family, and Dolphin fan. So check them out at allproconstructionbuilders.com. Fully licensed, fully certified, state certified general contractor. Again, they do the impact windows and doors. 305 484 4429. That's 305 484 4429. All Pro Construction Builders. Also, we also mentioned Prize Picks. Use that code 5 FIVE, get that initial deposit matched up to $100 at prizepicks.com, the Google Play Store, or the Apple App Store. People have been asking us lately because they saw reports. It is still legal in the state of Florida. Okay, want to make that clear. Completely legal. You can play. You can get your money out after you win. There are no problems. I use it daily. Prizepicks.com. Use the code 5 FIVE. Get that initial deposit matched up to $100. All right. Also, want to mention check out the episode of Five on the Floor that Brady and I did last night for at the arena after the red, white, and pink scrimmage. Yes, Big J. Miami plays basketball against another team today. Yesterday they played against themselves, rotated lineups. I'll give a brief recap of that before I get into one specific player today. Again, I always say don't make too much of the scrimmage. Eric Spoelstra is just throwing lineups out there, getting everybody a chance to play with each other, see how it looks. Jimmy Butler only played first 12 minutes, and he did some of it left-handed and some of it with his eyes closed, and was just having some fun. And they were trolling him like he was trolling them. They were quadruple teaming him at times. So again, I wouldn't take too much of what happened last night too seriously. There were a couple of things that we noted on the podcast. If you haven't got a chance to listen to it yet, it'll be on the YouTube channel here soon. One thing was sort of how Spoelstra put a couple of combinations together. Again, he didn't coach the teams. Karan Butler and Malik Allen coached the teams. But the first groups, he had what we think is the starting lineup, but he split it up. So he had Bam and Love on one team, and he had Herro and Richardson on another team to start. And then Jimmy was on the team with Tyler and Josh, but again, he could have played with either. And I think that's because he wants to take a look at what Herro and Richardson look like in the backcourt together, get them those reps. Good morning, soap. And that's what he did last night. And on the other side, I do believe that Kevin Love is going to start at the 4. He slimmed down quite a bit, looks great, is in great spirits. And I actually think he's going to be more productive for them than he was when he joined the team last season. Being asked if Kyle gets moved, I don't think he gets moved before the season starts. I think they probably will take the contract into the season at this point, kind of see how it works out. They want Kyle to play a role while he's here, which is, their role that they're envisioning is 15 to 20 minutes off the bench, monitor and manage his minutes, have him available for the end of games. And if he's still here, again, the contract plays a role in this because it isn't expiring. It does have some value. But if he's here and he accepts it, then, you can manage him and get him, in the right shape for the playoffs. I will say this about Kyle. He's in the best shape I've seen him in his Heat tenure so far. So that's a positive in his third season. Other things from last night that jumped out, we hit this on the podcast. Cole Swider was kind of number one. And I think that as you look at what the Heat try to do with their developmental projects, they have certain prototypes now. And one of their prototypes is movement shooter. So it was Duncan Robinson, then it was Max Strus, and it does look like the next is Cole Swider. Now, he's a player who the Lakers gave up on. He's got some size. He's 6'8", so ability to see over the defense. And, I think when you look at, where he's at right now, I think he's secured at the very least one of the two ways going into the season. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a standard contract in his future because we know Duncan, again, with his deal, could be moved at some point. Justin's mentioning it there. There's a bunch of possibilities to move Duncan, but I still think Duncan fills a role for them right now. For right now, I think he's honestly their seventh man, probably seventh or eighth man, behind Caleb Martin, who I think is going to be the sixth man. And Duncan is the movement shooter in the rotation, but they're always looking for others. They, like I said, they have certain prototypes. One is kind of like they have a point guard prototype now that they've had for a long time. They certainly have a 3 and D prototype. And you look at a guy like Jamal Kane, he's trying to fit into that prototype, which is where they produce at this point, Caleb Martin, um, Haywood Highsmith, and others, and that comes after the Rodney Magruders of the world. So, yeah, Cole Swider looks like the next Max Struess. We'll see. He's a little bigger than Max or taller than Max. I don't. He doesn't have the athleticism that Max does. Max athleticism was underrated, but he did some things where he finished around the basket last night that showed maybe he's a little bit more than just a movement shooter. Again, Duncan's taken some time to develop some of that stuff, and he just I mean, he gets his shot off in any situation. And, they were talking about the scramble drill that they ran the last day of training camp. And you can see why he was tough to find for some of the defenders and why Bam singled him out. And, he built on it last night. So, again, I don't make too much of one scrimmage in any circumstance. You're playing for charity, basically, is what they were doing last night. They were playing for a good cause. And some guys got some work in. And tonight, we'll see a little bit more. Now, I asked Eric Spoelstra last night how he's going to handle the 5 preseason games. He says he hasn't completely figured it out yet. I'm sure he has a plan in his mind. He just doesn't want to share it. But he says he won't get to a rotation probably until the end of the preseason. So you'll see some combinations, I think. But they want to look at a lot of these young players because a lot of them are kind of in the same space, different positions, but they are kind of at the same level right now. Doesn't Orlando Robinson show you more than a Jamal Kane, for example? And then, of course, in the competition for the rotation, does Orlando Robinson show you more than a Thomas Bryant, who I thought looked okay last night? And then, the point guard situation, Drew Smith, RJ Hampton, do one of them emerge as a possible option for the back end of the rotation? So, GM Ethan is a great nickname segment for the pod. I don't know if my guys will go for that, but we'll see. But I want to get into the person who jumped out to me the most last night because it's an extension of everything that he's done this offseason, and it's been consistent. Like, we talk about things are not necessarily linear, but when you're looking at what Tyler Hero has done this offseason, it is all linear and it is all positive. And he's been posting, his what he calls his janitor schedule, where he's up at 4 in the morning and all the work that he's put in. You can see it. You can see the work with him. And that to me is more important than the attitude with him, although we focus a lot on the attitude and how he had handled being in trade rumors and all this. You could not handle it better than he's handled it. That's my view of it. Because you had to make light of it. You can't be totally serious about it. Like when you're in his situation, if you come off as too serious, it's going to look like you're bitter. It's going to look like you're not channeling it correctly. He has channeled it correctly. He has put in the work, and that's the most important thing. And Eric Spoelstra said something last night that typically guys don't make jumps in their fifth season, but Tyler told Brady he wants to make a jump from his fourth to fifth season, similar to the one that he made from his second to his third season, which people don't remember because everybody talks about the bubble. But he was a very good version of himself in his third season after the second, where of course there was a very quick turnaround between the first and the second. And he talked to Brady about wanting to be more efficient, and efficiency is not just in shooting percentage. Efficiency is in movement. Efficiency is in number of dribbles that you take to get somewhere. Efficiency is your ability to fit in with the rest of the group. And what I see from him now is vastly improved. Vastly improved. Um, I just think he's primed for a huge scoring season and a huge shooting season. And I would be stunned at this point if he doesn't have it. And look, I said 2 seasons ago he would lead the team in scoring. And I was pretty damn close. I think he missed out to Jimmy by like point 0.1 or point 0.2 or something along those lines. I do think he leads the team in scoring this year, and I don't think Jimmy has any problem with it. That is not what Jimmy wants to do on a consistent basis during the regular season. And the question is how the two of them flow together. Does it become, you know, I'll take it, you'll take it, or do they make each other better? And part of it is a style thing. And Jimmy's style is to hunt mismatches that sometimes takes a little bit of time. Where he operates from, I think makes it a little more challenging for him and Tyler to look as fluid as some duos may look. And I'm not taking Bam out of the equation entirely, but I think if Bam gets his 13 to 15 shots, is aggressive when he needs to be, that's enough. The guy who's going to end up taking more of the usage now is Hero. And are you looking at a 50-40-90 season? I don't know. I think he can get the 90 part. He's got to get to the line a little bit more. He's been pretty close to the 40 part. If he can get closer to the 50 part, considering that that's going to mean a lot of floaters, ability to get to the rim, finish. I don't care if he needs a screen as long as he gets to where he needs to go to. But he's so much more, in my view, again, watching him in warm ups, which is something I've done now for 5 years. He's so much more, as I say, efficient in his movements. There's no wasted action from him anymore. And, I think that's one of the things that as he gets classified in that group with, say, a Jordan Poole or a Tyrese Maxey or an Anthony Simons, the players that he's grouped with, that's one of the things you're looking for in growth is, all of those guys can score individually. But Jordan Poole, it didn't work with Golden State anymore. And it wasn't just because of the incident with Draymond, it's because he was playing a different way than the rest of them were, and it didn't necessarily mesh anymore. Simons was better when Lillard wasn't playing, right? And Maxi, I still think with Maxi and Harden, depending on what happens with Harden, I don't expect him to be with the Sixers too much longer. But that didn't always look great either. Can Tyler, as a scorer, as somebody who needs to take a lot of shots to kind of get his rhythm? We know that Tyler, is what is the word that always uses? Not combustible, one of those words. But that Tyler, when he starts scoring, there's more scoring to come. Kind of the floodgates open. But again, can he do that in the team concept? And can he do that in a way where they win? And I kept charting this stat in the first couple months of the season last year. And I know Tyler didn't like this particular stat, but they tended to lose when he scored more. I don't think it was necessarily like correlation is not causation. I don't think it was necessarily his fault because a lot of those games, other guys in the Heat could not score. And so Tyler tried to score more and did score more, but they lost anyway. And so I understand that. But there were also games that it seems like other guys were kind of standing around. How do they integrate Tyler's improvement into what they do overall as an offense? Because they were not a good offensive team last year. A lot of it was shooting. A lot of it was, again, a historical collapse in shooting from the season before. But if there's anyone who can help shoot them out of it because of the volume he takes and because of how pure a shooter he is, it's Tyler Hero. And so, do I think that there could be a fourth to fifth year jump? Absolutely, from what I've seen. Does that make him untouchable as he says he wants to be? We'll see. They're always going to come after your third best player. And even if Tyler grows offensively in a dramatic way and leads the team in scoring, he's probably still going to be the team's third best player because Bam is that good defensively, and obviously Jimmy is Jimmy. But I do think that that jump is on the way, and I do think that is going to make us look at this team a little bit differently. Is he going to beat Damian Lillard? No. You're not going to be a top 75 player overnight in your fifth season. He's not going to end up becoming for the Heat what Dwayne Wade was for the Heat. I think, again, we need to moderate expectations a little bit. Can he become a little closer to what Devin Booker has become? Can he be a guy who averages 23 on, say, 47, 39, 88? I think there's a certain possibility there. And I don't think the defense is as awful as everybody says it is. And Tyler has fought push back against this quite a bit. Will he still be hunted at times? Yes. If he's in a lineup with Josh Richardson, let's say Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, and Bam Adebayo, who are you going to hunt? Throw Highsmith in there for Caleb. Who are you going to hunt? The Heat are not going to put a whole lot of weak defenders on the floor this year. They don't have as many of them. Take a look at Kevin Love. Okay, obviously with his age, except he's never been an exceptional defender. Positionally, though, especially his second year in the Heat system, now he's going to know where to be. Duncan Robinson, of course, is going to pick up 3 fouls early on with some officials. It's going to happen. I don't think he's as dreadful as everybody believes he is. And then there's Tyler, and that's pretty much it. The rest of their primary rotation, again, seeing what they do with Jovic and Jaquez and how they respond to being regulars, if that's what turns out to be, there could be defensive issues with both of them. But for the most part, again, when you're looking at Josh Richardson, to me, he replaces what Gabe did defensively. Gabe was not as good defensively last year, particularly during the regular season, as people assumed. He gives you a little bit more length at that position. He's a better defender than Struess, that we know. And again, you're going to get more minutes of Caleb, who's a plus defender. You still have Bam, you still have Jimmy. Highsmith, I think, plays more of a role this year, another plus defender. Lowry plays fewer minutes, which I thought Kyle did a decent job on the switches last year and guarding up, but we know point of attack is a problem at this stage. Less minutes for him, more minutes for somebody else at the point of attack. I think they're going to be really good defensively. So I think they'll be able to cover whatever it is that Tyler's not providing. But he needs to compete, which I do believe he does. Okay. As he said, he told Brady, doesn't have the longest arms. He's not going to be able to grow his arms out at this point. So he's not going to become an elite defender. But can he just become an average defender? If he does, I think the scoring is going to be there, and I do think that there is a chance for an all-star season this year for Tyler Herro. Okay, I saw a couple of comments come in, so I'll try to address them. What do I think the starting lineup is going to be? The one I was told about 3 weeks ago, I don't think has really changed. I think it's Tyler Herro, Josh Richardson, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo. I do not think you can start Lowry and Love together for the defensive reasons I'm talking about. They could play together some. I don't think they'll start together. One name I didn't hear anything about yesterday was Drew Smith. He did compete yesterday. Everybody played but Caleb. Yesterday he's just nursing a minor knee thing, but he looks fine. We've seen him out on the court. I, the thing about Drew Smith is he just doesn't jump out to you. I think that's kind of what they like. Like they just sort of know what he's gonna do. That's not really the game for him last night anyway, because he's just sort of playing up and down. I know Heat fans are not particularly thrilled with him as a prospect, but let's see what he does in the preseason games. Big goal for him is can he play more than 70 games in the regular season to be available in the playoffs? I think there's two different things there, Aaron. The first thing is can he play more than 70 games? Yes, they're going to need him to because I don't think Jimmy's going to play more than that. I know Jimmy joked with me he's going to play 10. Their goal for Jimmy is the 65 to 70 range again. I think that's about right for him. So I think some of those back to backs, you'll see him take time off. I think Lowry and Love are going to take some of the back to backs off also. That's one of the purposes of their depth. When people are like, are Hawkins and Jovic going to play? Well, yeah, in the games that some of these other guys miss. I think at first, I think they'll get a chance to prove themselves in those games. But the second thing about can he be available for the playoffs? I think we need to stop harping on that so much. I know Tyler wanted to prove himself last year, but I'm also not going to blame him for diving for a loose ball, whether it was the smartest decision or not. It's what the Heat want them to do. So yes, the previous first thing, first playoffs, he was available, right? That's where he made his name. Second playoffs, they got swept. We don't even know if he was going to be available into the postseason. And the third playoffs, he wasn't playing particularly well, and then he got hurt, right? Okay, so that was a legitimate injury he was dealing with. Then last year, again, he was diving for a loose ball. That's a freak thing. It's kind of like when people blame Tua for like breaking a finger taking a snap. Like, no, there's things that make you're injury prone, and there's other things that are just accidents. And last year, to be honest, that was an accident. Like he had 12 points when he went out of that game. So there you go. G. Rich Davis, Harden seen in Miami. I do not know. He's been in Houston. Was my understanding before he went to training camp with the team in Philadelphia. Well, with Philadelphia, they're having training camp in Colorado, and I guess they're done with that now. But I mean, Harden comes to Miami quite a bit for reasons that you can obviously understand and probably guess. Eternal point Jovic tonight. Yes, Eternal has to jump in with that. I don't know even if Jovic is going to play. We don't know what the lineups are going to be tonight. Again, because I think Eric is looking at this as a 5 game in totality. The wig is right over there. I'll get to it at some point. I do need the wig because I haven't combed my hair this morning, but I don't think I'm going to wear it anytime soon. But again, we appreciate that, Alex Joe. Thank you for watching the show. Uh, 20 minutes. I want to let Manny out of here and let him get off to work and make some actual real money. We'll be doing more starting fives as we go forward. Check out the one yesterday I did on the Dolphins. We'll probably do a Dolphins and a Heat here going forward, at the very least, a couple of week. Also, check out five on the floor. And I think we'll be on playback tonight for the preseason game. So check us out there. Brady and I will be at the game tonight. Alex a little under the weather, but we'll have a podcast for you after the game as well. But to summarize, we talk about internal improvement for this team, right? We talk about a lot of the undrafteds. Well, the most important internal improvement is with the guys who are going to play the most because that's how you maximize it. So, really, we're talking Bam, Tyler, Caleb. Is there another level for each of them? And I think there is, but Tyler's the one I'm focused on right now. I think he's had a tremendous, tremendous offseason. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks to our sponsors, All Pro Construction Builders, Prize Picks. Use that code 5. Thanks to Manny for producing.